Doritos weren't always covered in that orange dust. The first ones were plain, like tortilla chips figuring out what they wanted to be. But then they changed into the tasty, bold chips we love today.
That's it. Say it with me.
Doritos!
And what about the rumors? Like Doritos being so loaded with dust they could stain your fingers forever. How did they go from boring to legendary? Well, let's find out how Doritos are made in a factory. Before we get started, be sure to subscribe to the Process Powerhouse channel. Leave us a comment to let us know what mealtime favorites you'd like to see next. And hey, maybe one day they'll find a bag of Doritos in a time capsule, still perfectly crunchy. Doritos weren't always the cheesy, crunchy snack they are today. The story starts in 1964 when a man named Arch West, who worked for Frito-Lay, had an idea for a new snack. The twist? It wasn't even meant to be a product at first. While visiting Disneyland, Arch came across a small restaurant serving fried tortilla chips. Nothing fancy, just a simple, crispy snack. But Arch saw potential in these chips and thought, why not add some magic to them, just like Disneyland did? So he took the idea back to Frito-Lay, and they thought, why not try making these tortilla chips into something bigger? At first, they didn't have a name for them. For a while, they were just tortilla chips. But that didn't sound quite right, did it? Eventually, they came up with the name Doritos, which came from the Spanish word doradito, meaning little golden ones. It was the perfect name for a snack that was meant to stand out on shelves everywhere. But here's the funny part. Doritos didn't take off right away. At first, they were just sitting on shelves, trying to figure out what kind of chip they wanted to be. They were like that one friend who can't decide what to wear to the party. Should it be classic, spicy, sweet? Then, in the early 70s, Frito-Lay decided to take a chance and introduced a new flavor, cheddar. A little cheesy, a lot delicious. That's when people went crazy. It was like everyone suddenly realized Doritos weren't just any chips. They were the chips, the cheesy, crunchy snack you couldn't stop eating. They became the go-to snack at parties, school lunches, and pretty much every gathering. People devoured them faster than you could say, "I'll have another bag." From there, Doritos kept growing, trying bolder flavors like Cool Ranch, Nacho Cheese, and even spicy ones like Flamin' Hot. Each new flavor seemed to match the mood of the time, and soon Doritos were everywhere. They became more than just a snack. They became a part of the experience. People weren't just eating them, they were sharing them, talking about them, and even making memes about them. Now, years later, Doritos have become a big part of life, whether you're watching your favorite show or just craving a crunchy snack. So the next time you open a bag, remember, it all started in a small restaurant at Disneyland, where even the chips had big dreams. Enough history, let's take a look inside the factory. The production of Doritos starts with choosing the best ingredients, and Frito-Lay takes this seriously. The main ingredients are corn, vegetable oil, and seasonings. Each one is important for giving Doritos their unique taste and texture. The corn, which is the base ingredient, is chosen for its high-quality kernels that give the right texture and help the seasoning stick just right. Frito-Lay works with farmers to make sure the corn used for Doritos is grown specifically for snacks, ensuring consistent quality. The corn has to hold up during processing while keeping that perfect crunch. Corn is a very versatile ingredient and one of the most common crops grown in the United States. Most of the corn used for Doritos comes from the Midwest, where large fields grow specific types of corn for snacks. Frito-Lay makes sure the corn is not only high quality, but also non-GMO, meeting both customer needs and environmental standards. The company works with local farmers to get the best crops, so every batch of Doritos starts with top quality corn. The corn is carefully cleaned to remove dirt, debris, or any other particles, because even a tiny speck can affect the flavor. The vegetable oil used in Doritos is chosen with just as much care as the corn. The oil, usually a mix of corn, sunflower, or canola oil, has to meet certain standards to fry the chips perfectly. It needs to have a high smoke point to handle the high temperatures used in frying, so the chips get crispy without burning. Frito-Lay also focuses on sustainability when picking its oils, making sure they are responsibly sourced. By working with suppliers who care about the environment, the company ensures its ingredients are both high quality and aligned with their commitment to sustainability. Along with the corn and oil, the seasonings are key to Doritos' success. The seasoning blends, whether it's classic nacho cheese, Cool Ranch, or other bold flavors, are made with a mix of spices like garlic powder, salt, and cheese powder. Frito-Lay uses a special method to blend these spices, making sure each chip gets the right amount of flavor. Every seasoning is tested and improved to match the brand's flavor standards. The spices are also carefully sourced, with suppliers providing top-quality ingredients to make sure every bag tastes the same. The careful choice and sourcing of ingredients help ensure that Doritos meet the high expectations of fans. After the corn is sourced and prepared, it's time to turn it into masa, the dough used to make the chips. The first step is cleaning the corn. The kernels are washed carefully to remove any dirt, dust, or other particles that could affect the flavor or texture of the chips. This ensures the chips have a clean, pure taste when they're finished. If any impurities are left, they could affect the consistency of the masa, so this step is important for making sure the chips are high quality. Once cleaned, the corn kernels are soaked in a mix of lime and water, a process called nixtamalization. This old method, first used by Mesoamerican cultures, helps prepare the corn for cooking. Soaking the corn in lime water removes the outer husks and softens the kernels, making it easier to turn them into smooth, flexible dough. This step is also important for the flavor of the masa, giving Doritos their signature taste. Nixtamalization is key for both the texture and flavor of the chips, and without it, the masa wouldn't have the perfect balance that makes Doritos so satisfying to eat. Once the corn has soaked and softened, it's ground into smooth masa dough. The grinding process is carefully controlled to make sure the masa has the right consistency. If it's too coarse, the chips will be gritty, and if it's too fine, the chips might break easily. To get the perfect texture, the masa goes through several rollers and grinding machines, where it's flattened and smooth until it's just right. The texture and moisture of the masa are important because they affect how crunchy and crisp the chips will be after frying. At this point, the masa is ready to be shaped into the familiar Doritos triangles. The dough's moisture is carefully checked to make sure the chips fry evenly and keep their shape. Too much moisture can make the chips lose their crunch, while too little can make them crack or break. The masa is then sent through machines that flatten it into thin sheets and cut it into perfect triangles, making sure each chip is the same size and texture. This shaping step is important because Doritos are known for their uniform triangle shape, and consistency is key to making the perfect snack every time. Once the masa is shaped into sheets and cut into triangles, it's time to give the chips their unique shape. The dough goes through machines that carefully cut it into uniform triangles. This step needs to be very precise because every Dorito has to look the same, from the size of the triangle to the slight curl at the edges. Any differences in shape could affect how the chips fry and their texture. To make sure every chip is the same, the cutting blades and molds are checked regularly to keep them accurate. After being cut into triangles, the chips are lightly dried to remove extra moisture and help them keep their shape during frying. This step is important because the chips need the right amount of moisture to fry properly. If they have too much moisture, they could become soggy, and if they have too little, they could be tough or chewy. Drying helps the chips stay in their triangular shape and fry evenly. While this process doesn't take long, it's a key step in making sure the chips have the perfect texture. Once the chips are dried, they are checked for any problems, like chips that are too small or misshapen. These imperfect chips are removed to make sure only the best Doritos move on to the frying stage. This quality check is important to ensure that every Dorito has the perfect crispiness and golden color. The size and shape of the chips are carefully watched throughout the process to make sure each one is the same and ready for frying. The perfectly shaped triangles are now ready to be fried. This is the key step where the chips turn from soft dough into crispy golden snacks. Frying is the most delicate part of the process because it decides the final texture of the chips. The oil needs to be at the right temperature to give the chips their perfect crunch. Frito-Lay carefully controls this step to make sure each chip fries evenly, giving Doritos the crispy, satisfying bite they're known for. The frying process is where the chips get their signature texture. After the chips are shaped, dried, and checked, they are placed into large fryers filled with hot oil. The oil is heated to a precise temperature of around 350 to 375 degrees Fahrenheit, which makes the chips crisp up in just a few seconds. The chips fry for about 30 seconds to a minute, depending on their size and the exact temperature of the oil. During this time, the moisture inside the chips evaporates, making them puff up and become light and airy. This process is key to getting that perfect crunch that makes Doritos so popular. The oil temperature is carefully watched during frying to make sure each batch of chips is cooked just right. If the temperature is too high, the chips can burn and get too crispy. If it's too low, they might not crisp up properly and end up greasy and soggy. Keeping the right temperature is important for getting the perfect texture, golden and crunchy on the outside, light on the inside. Frito-Lay's advanced frying machines make sure the chips are fried evenly. The fryers have special parts that keep the chips moving through the hot oil so they don't stick together or cook too much. The chips are also checked for any problems, like burnt or undercooked ones, which are taken out. This makes sure every Dorito is crispy and golden. After frying, the chips move to a conveyor belt where extra oil drains off, leaving them perfectly crispy and ready for seasoning. After frying, the chips are checked for color, shape, and texture. The goal is to make sure every Dorito has the perfect crunch and golden color that fans love. Any chips that don't meet the standards are set aside to be fixed or thrown out. This care at every step makes sure only the best, crispiest chips move on to the seasoning stage. The frying process is key to making Doritos, and Frito-Lay's attention to temperature and timing ensures every bag of chips is just as perfect as the last. The next important step in making Doritos is the seasoning. After the chips are fried and crispy, they're quickly coated with the signature seasoning while still hot. This is when Doritos turns into the bold, flavorful snack we all love. The heat helps the seasoning stick, making sure every chip is packed with flavor. The seasoning process happens in large rotating drums where the chips are gently tossed and coated. The seasoning mix includes ingredients like cheese powder, salt, garlic powder, and other flavorings. Each seasoning is made to match the flavor of the specific Doritos, like nacho cheese or Flamin' Hot. Frito-Lay uses a special method to mix and apply the seasoning, making sure every batch of Doritos has the right amount of flavor. The amount of seasoning applied is carefully controlled to make sure each chip gets the right amount. Too little, and the chips will be bland; too much, and the seasoning will overpower the corn flavor. Frito-Lay makes sure every chip is evenly coated with the right amount of seasoning. If any chips don't get enough seasoning, they're sent back to be fixed, so every Dorito in the bag is perfectly flavored. After seasoning, the chips move to a cooling belt where the seasoning sets and the chips stay crispy. Any extra oil drains off and the seasoning soaks into the chips, making them taste even better. The chips are inspected again to make sure they meet Frito-Lay's quality standards. Only the chips that pass this check make it to the packaging, ensuring each bag of Doritos is fresh and full of flavor. After the chips are seasoned, they move on to a cooling conveyor belt. This step is important because it helps the chips stay crispy and sets the seasoning. The cooling process also lets any extra oil drain off, so the chips don't get greasy or soggy. This helps the chips keep their crunch and the texture that makes them so tasty. During cooling, the chips are also checked for quality. This step makes sure the chips meet Frito-Lay's high standards. Inspectors look at the chips to check their size, shape, color, and texture. If any chips are broken, under-seasoned, or misshapen, they are thrown out or reused. This ensures that only the best Doritos go to packaging. They also check the seasoning to make sure every chip is coated just right, since Doritos are known for their bold, consistent flavor. Frito-Lay uses machines and human checks to make sure everything is accurate. Cameras and sensors help spot chips that don't meet the standards, while people also check for quality. This mix of technology and human effort makes the quality control process fast and thorough, ensuring every bag of Doritos has the great taste and texture you expect. Once the quality checks are done and the chips have cooled, they're ready to be packaged. By now, the Doritos are crispy and full of flavor, and the next steps make sure they stay that way until they get to your store. This cooling and checking stage is important to ensure every batch meets Frito-Lay's high standards for quality and freshness. Once the chips are cool and have passed the quality checks, they move to the packaging machines. This is where the fun starts. The chips are put into bags, which are then sealed with nitrogen. You've probably noticed that Doritos bags look puffed up. That's because of the nitrogen. It's not just for show, it helps keep the chips fresh by sealing them in a way that keeps them from going stale. Since nitrogen is a stable gas, it doesn't harm the chips or make them spoil. The packaging process is mostly automated, with machines filling each bag with the right amount of Doritos. The bags are sealed tightly to keep the chips fresh during transport. This step makes sure the chips stay crunchy and flavorful as they travel to stores. The bags are also made to protect the chips from being crushed or damaged. Doritos packaging is designed to handle shipping, so you always get a perfect bag of chips. Doritos bags are specially made to resist punctures, which is important because if a bag gets a hole, the chips can lose their freshness and become stale. To make sure the bags are sealed correctly, Frito-Lay uses top-quality materials and precise technology to check for any defects. Bags that don't meet the standards are rejected before they even reach store shelves. This careful attention to quality makes sure that every bag of Doritos you open is sealed tightly and filled with fresh, crispy chips. Once the bags are sealed and packed, they're ready for distribution. The packaging process helps keep the chips fresh, flavorful, and crispy by the time they reach you. With nitrogen sealing, strong materials, and careful packaging, Doritos stay crunchy and tasty from the factory to the store. After the chips are bagged and sealed, they move to the labeling stage. Here, each bag gets its final details like the Doritos logo, flavor, nutritional info, and expiration date. The labeling is done automatically and carefully, making sure every bag is correctly labeled and ready for shipping. Once the bags are labeled, they are packed into bigger boxes for shipment. These boxes are sent to distribution centers around the country, and from there they are sent to stores, convenience shops, vending machines, and even other countries. Frito-Lay has a well-organized distribution system that makes sure Doritos get to many retailers quickly and efficiently. The whole process is carefully planned to ensure that each store gets the right amount of Doritos at the right time. The journey from the factory to the store involves several important steps. The bags are shipped by truck to regional distribution centers, where they are sorted and sent out to stores. This depends on where the store is and how much of the product they need. Distribution centers are key in managing the flow of products and making sure stores get their shipments on time. To keep the chips fresh, Doritos are shipped in trucks with controlled temperatures. This helps maintain the right conditions, since extreme heat can make the chips lose their crunch. Frito-Lay carefully manages the temperature and storage during transport to make sure they deliver the freshest and best-tasting Doritos. Doritos has stayed one of the most popular snacks for a good reason. From its start as a simple corn chip to becoming a global favorite, the brand has perfected making a product that always offers bold, delicious flavor. It's not just about the chips, but the whole experience. Whether it's the crunch, the tasty seasoning, or the memories it brings to snack time. One reason Doritos has stayed popular is its ability to keep up with changing tastes while staying true to what it's known for. New flavors like Cool Ranch, Spicy Sweet Chili, and limited edition options keep things exciting for loyal fans and attract new ones. This mix of new flavors, along with consistent quality and great taste, has helped Doritos stay a leader in the snack food world. Another reason Doritos has stayed popular is its strong link to pop culture. The brand stays relevant by partnering with big events, media campaigns, and influencers. Whether it's through viral ads or working with popular entertainment brands, Doritos makes sure its chips stay in the spotlight and top of mind for snack lovers. The main reason Doritos has stayed on top for so long is its simple but perfect formula. Great taste, bold flavor, and a crunchy texture. With high-quality ingredients, careful production, and a strong brand, Doritos has become more than just a snack. Stick around, there's even more exciting moments and processes coming up next. Twinkies first came out in 1930 with banana filling instead of the creamy vanilla we know today. They've disappeared, come back, and turned into a nostalgic favorite. From lunchboxes to pop culture, this little snack has been everywhere.
I love Twinkies!
And let's not forget the urban legend. Twinkies are said to last forever, thanks to their near-mythical shelf life. So, how did it become such a big part of our lives? Well, let's find out how Twinkies are made in a factory. Before we get started, be sure to subscribe to the Process Powerhouse channel. Leave us a comment to let us know what mealtime favorites you'd like to see next. And hey, if they really last forever, maybe they'll outlive us all. Twinkies were created in 1930 by James Dewar, who worked for the Continental Baking Company. Dewar faced a problem: what to do with leftover shortcake pans when strawberries weren't in season. Instead of wasting them, he filled the pans with sweet, creamy filling and made a new snack. Dewar had no idea he was creating a snack cake legend. It was kind of an accident, but it worked out great. The treat became an instant hit, and soon everyone loved this creamy, spongy snack. Dewar's simple idea ended up lasting for decades. The name Twinkie came from a billboard for a shoe brand that had the word twinkle on it. Dewar thought Twinkie sounded more fun, so he chose that name, and it stuck. What seemed like a small decision ended up making the name famous. By the 1940s, Twinkies had become a hit. During World War II, when US troops were sent overseas, Twinkies were included in their care packages. Imagine how comforting it must have been for soldiers to receive a sweet reminder of home. Twinkies became more than just a snack. They were a symbol of comfort and happiness. After all, nothing says comfort food like a cake that could survive the journey to the other side of the world and last for decades. Over the years, Twinkies became a big part of American culture. They were the go-to snack for kids, the perfect after-school treat, or a late-night craving when you needed something quick. By the 1970s, Twinkies were known for their long shelf life, and they became a pop culture icon. Hostess, the company behind Twinkies,
Caramelizes whole lunchbox just filled with Hostess Twinkies.
Marketed them with such excitement, claiming the cakes could last forever. This led to the famous rumor that a Twinkie could survive a nuclear disaster. While that's definitely an exaggeration, hopefully, it made the cake even more famous and led to many pop culture references. Whether you were a kid sneaking a Twinkie or an adult looking back on your childhood, these golden cakes were everywhere and seemed to last forever. Despite the fun and charm of this spongy treat, Twinkies have gone through some big changes over the years. There were a few tweaks to the recipe, including changes to both the cake and the filling. But it wasn't until 2012, when Hostess went bankrupt, that the future of Twinkies was in doubt. People briefly panicked. Would Twinkies disappear for good? Fans flooded social media with messages saying goodbye like they were losing an old friend. But in 2013, after a short break, Twinkies were back on shelves. People were so relieved, some even rushed to stores to buy them before they sold out again. It's clear that Twinkies had earned their place in snack history. Twinkies have been through a lot: recipe changes, new owners, and some close calls. But they've always stayed a favorite snack. Maybe it's the soft cake and creamy filling, or the memories they bring back with every bite. There's just something simple and timeless about them. Whether you're opening a fresh pack or finding an old box in the pantry, Twinkies always bring a smile. They've had their ups and downs, but they're still going strong. Let's see how they're made. The first step in making a Twinkie is getting the right ingredients: flour, sugar, eggs, oil, and preservatives. Choosing the right flour is especially important to keep the product consistent. High-protein flour is often used because it helps create the soft, sponge-like texture Twinkies are known for. The flour also needs to be finely ground, which helps the cake rise and hold its shape. Sugar is important not just for sweetness, but also for keeping the cake moist and fresh longer. The sugar in Twinkies usually comes from sugar beets or sugarcane, which are refined to make them pure and sweet. Corn syrup is added for extra sweetness and to make the filling smooth. It also helps keep the cake moist so it doesn't dry out. Getting the right mix of sugars is key for the taste and shelf life. Eggs are important because they hold the ingredients together and give the Twinkie its light, sponge-like texture. The proteins in the eggs also help the cake hold its shape while baking, so it doesn't collapse or get too dense. Oil in the batter keeps the cake soft and moist, giving it that melt-in-your-mouth feel. Factories also use artificial flavors and preservatives, like calcium propionate, to keep Twinkies fresh and prevent mold, which is why they last so long. Getting ingredients from reliable suppliers is crucial. Any change in quality could affect the flavor, texture, or shelf life of the Twinkies. To prevent this, manufacturers have strict quality checks to make sure ingredients are pure, consistent in flavor, and free from allergens or impurities. These high standards ensure every Twinkie meets the same level of quality for consumers. After gathering all the ingredients, they are mixed into a batter. Flour, sugar, eggs, oil, and other liquids are blended in large industrial mixers. These mixers handle big batches and make sure everything is evenly mixed. The batter needs to be smooth, not too thick or too thin, so it bakes just right. This step ensures every Twinkie has the perfect balance of cake and cream in every bite. Adding air to the batter is an important step. The batter is whipped at specific speeds to create a light, fluffy texture for the soft, spongy cake. Mixing too fast can make the batter too airy and unstable, causing the cake to crumble or collapse. Too much air can also make the cake dry, while too little air can make it dense. The goal is to add just the right amount of air for a fluffy, moist cake. The batter is carefully monitored during mixing to make sure it has the right consistency. Sensors and regular checks help keep the balance of moisture and air just right. Any issues with texture or mixing speed are fixed quickly to avoid problems with the final product. Once the batter is perfect, it's poured into molds. The consistency needs to be spot on so the Twinkies rise evenly and keep their signature shape. Although the process is automated, it's closely controlled to ensure every batch turns out the same. Mixing the batter is a crucial step in making Twinkies. It's all about getting the right lightness and texture to create their signature soft, spongy bite. This step ensures the cake has the perfect amount of moisture and sets the foundation for the entire baking process. The balance between the wet and dry ingredients, along with just the right amount of air, is what makes Twinkies the timeless treat they are. Once the batter is ready, it's poured into molds designed to give Twinkies their iconic shape. These molds ensure each cake is the same size and bakes evenly. Made from materials that conduct heat well, they help the cakes cook evenly and prevent sticking. The molds are preheated before the batter is added, so the cakes start to set and rise right away, resulting in their signature golden brown look. The batter-filled molds are baked in a large industrial oven set to a specific temperature for about 15 to 20 minutes. The heat makes the batter rise and turn into a fluffy golden sponge cake. Baking time and temperature are carefully controlled to ensure the cakes cook evenly and stay light and spongy. The oven uses heat from the top and bottom for even baking, and automated systems monitor the process to keep every batch consistent. Any changes in temperature or time could result in cakes that are too dry or undercooked. The cakes are carefully watched during baking to make sure they turn out the same every time. Overbaking can make them dry or tough, while underbaking can leave the center raw. The factory uses temperature controls and sensors to keep the heat just right. Some factories also use a conveyor belt to move the cakes through the oven at the right speed so they don't get overcooked. The right balance of heat and time gives Twinkies their light, spongy texture, and even small changes can affect the result. That's why the oven process is closely controlled. After baking, the Twinkies are taken out of the molds and left to cool. Cooling is important because it helps the cake set and firm up without becoming too soft or wet. The cakes are handled gently to avoid damage. Cooling conveyors move the cakes from the oven to a cooling area where they are cooled at room temperature. This keeps their shape and spongy texture. If they don't cool properly, the filling could leak or the texture could become too dense. This step makes sure the cakes are ready for the next stage in production. Once the Twinkies are baked and cooled, they move down a conveyor to an automated filling machine where they are injected with cream. This step is what makes a Twinkie stand out, giving it the one bite of cake, one bite of cream experience. The machine ensures each Twinkie gets the right amount of filling, so the product is always consistent and satisfying. The smooth, creamy filling is essential for creating the perfect balance of lightness and richness in every bite. The cream is made from sugar, corn syrup, and artificial flavorings, giving it its sweet taste. It's whipped to a light, airy texture, which keeps the Twinkie from feeling too heavy. This lightness lets the filling complement the cake without overpowering it, creating the perfect balance of cake and cream. A small amount of stabilizers is added to keep the cream smooth and prevent it from separating, so each Twinkie looks and tastes the same. The filling is then injected into each Twinkie using a machine that ensures the right amount every time. The filling is pumped into the center of the cake with just the right pressure to avoid bursting the soft sponge. This process needs precision, as the filling must be spread evenly without changing the cake's shape. If the pressure is too high, the Twinkie could burst and spill the filling. Too much filling could make the Twinkie messy, while too little wouldn't give it that classic cream-filled taste. Finding the right balance of cake and filling is key to keeping the Twinkie experience consistent, and it requires carefully set up equipment to get it right every time. After the filling is added, the Twinkies move along the conveyor, where they are checked for air pockets or any imperfections. The cakes are carefully inspected to make sure they're all the same, with either quality control staff or automated systems making sure no defects, like overfilled or underfilled cakes, are missed. After this, the Twinkies are nearly ready, though they might still go through extra quality checks or packaging. The filling step is what makes them stand out and loved by fans everywhere. After the filling is added, the Twinkies need to cool to keep their texture and prevent them from getting too soft or soggy. The cakes are moved to a cooling conveyor, where they are kept at the right temperature for a set amount of time. Cooling is important to make sure the filling stays in place and the sponge cake reaches its final texture. After cooling, the cakes move to the packaging stage. This is where mass production shines. Each Twinkie is wrapped in a thin plastic layer to keep it fresh and safe. The wrapping is done by machines, which tightly seal each Twinkie. The wrap also shows the familiar Hostess logo, making each Twinkie easy to recognize. Packaging is important because it keeps the cake safe from air, moisture, and contamination. It also helps with branding, as the yellow packaging makes Twinkies easy to spot on store shelves. The packaging process is quick and efficient, allowing hundreds or even thousands of Twinkies to be packed every hour. Once wrapped, the Twinkies are packed into boxes for shipping. The boxes are labeled with details like expiration dates and are stacked on pallets for the next step, distribution. Quality checks are done to make sure the cakes are sealed properly and have no defects, so customers get a consistent experience. Before Twinkies reach stores, they go through a final quality check. This makes sure each cake meets the company's standards for size, taste, and consistency. The cakes are checked for even filling, proper size, and any defects in the sponge. Even small issues are fixed. Every Twinkie is inspected to ensure it has uniform filling and texture, so the products in stores always meet the same high standards. Technicians keep an eye on the cakes as they move through the production line, making sure each one meets the standards. They check the texture, filling amount, and appearance. The packaging is also checked to ensure it's sealed properly with no wrinkles or damage. The final quality check ensures that only the best Twinkies make it to the shelves. Any cakes that don't meet the standards are removed to keep the quality high. This attention to detail helps keep the Twinkies' reputation for quality. Some factories also use high-tech tools like X-ray machines to spot issues that can't be seen by eye. This helps make sure the filling is spread evenly and there are no air pockets or texture problems. The X-rays can also catch underbakes or defects that affect the texture. This technology helps ensure that customers get a product that meets expectations by finding and fixing any flaws before it reaches them. After passing the final checks, the Twinkies are ready for packaging and shipping. The quality control ensures that each Twinkie is consistent, making every bite as satisfying as the last. The cakes are packaged carefully to keep them fresh and safe during transport. With each batch meeting strict standards, customers can be sure that the Twinkies they buy will be just as tasty as they remember. Once the Twinkies are packaged and sealed, they are sent to large distribution centers, which store them before they are shipped to stores. These centers are set up to work efficiently, with pallets of Twinkies stored in climate-controlled areas to keep them fresh. The temperature and humidity are closely monitored to ensure the cakes stay in the best conditions, protecting them from heat and moisture that could change their texture or flavor. The distribution process is well organized. From the warehouse, Twinkies are loaded onto trucks and delivered to stores, from big grocery chains to small convenience stores. The logistics are set up to keep trucks moving, so store shelves are always restocked without delay. This smooth system ensures that fresh Twinkies are available for customers, whether they're stopping by quickly or doing their weekly shopping. With a steady schedule, the transportation of Twinkies runs quickly and efficiently, keeping shelves full all the time. Once the Twinkies arrive at the store, they're unloaded and placed on the shelves. Retailers rely on this smooth distribution to keep their shelves stocked with fresh products. This means that from the moment the Twinkies leave the factory, they can be on store shelves in just a few days. The whole distribution network is key to getting Twinkies to customers quickly, and it's a well-organized system that keeps up with demand and fills shelves. This fast process ensures that no one has to wait long for the tasty treat they love. Finally, Twinkies are placed on store shelves, ready for customers to grab. Whether sold individually or in packs, the bright yellow packages are positioned to catch shoppers' attention as they walk through the snack aisles. Where they're placed in the store is key to making sure they sell quickly. Many stores put them near the checkout lanes, encouraging impulse buys so customers can easily pick up a Twinkie when they're looking for a quick snack or treat. When you pick up a Twinkie, you're getting the result of a careful process that's been perfected over many years. From gathering the ingredients to baking and wrapping the cakes, each step is done with care to make sure every bite is as good as the last. Twinkies are often placed next to other snack cakes, but their unique packaging and long history set them apart. The bright yellow wrapper and iconic shape make Twinkies easy to recognize for anyone walking by. Consumers trust Twinkies for their reliable taste and nostalgic feel, built on years of careful production. Even though they're made in large quantities, the quality never changes, so the snack you buy today tastes just like the one you had years ago. Twinkies have earned their spot on store shelves not just because of their unique taste, but because they've stood the test of time. So the next time you grab a package, remember, every golden cake is packed with a lot of care, precision, and nostalgia. Twinkies have stayed a favorite for generations, thanks to their consistency, nostalgia, and innovation. The simple mix of light sponge cake and creamy filling provides a comforting taste that has appealed to people for decades. Whether it's the joy of enjoying a snack that reminds you of childhood or the reliable quality that always delivers, Twinkies have gained a loyal fan base. This trusted treat has become a go-to snack for many, making it a common item in homes across the country. What has kept Twinkies popular over the years is their ability to adapt while still keeping what made them great. By balancing that classic taste with freshness and accessibility, Twinkies have survived changes in the snack industry. While other snack cakes come and go, Twinkies have stayed a symbol of consistency and nostalgia. Their spot on store shelves year after year shows that sometimes the best things don't need to change, especially when they've already gotten it right. By mixing tradition with change, Twinkies have stayed popular with generations of fans. Even as the snack world changes, the classic yellow packaging and cake and cream combo stay the same. This simple yet iconic treat still brings back memories and satisfies cravings, showing that sometimes keeping things simple is the key. Twinkies are more than just a snack. They represent comfort, consistency, and the lasting charm of something classic. Stick around, there's even more exciting moments and processes coming up next. KitKat used to be simple, just chocolate and wafer. You always knew what to expect with each snap. But over time, things changed. Suddenly, it wasn't just the classic flavor anymore. There were green tea, cheesecake, even sake versions. So, how is KitKat actually made in a factory? Let's find out. KitKat, the chocolate-covered wafer bar, has a history as layered as the wafers inside. It all started in 1935 in the UK, when Rowntree's, a popular candy company, decided to create a snack for the working class. After the Great Depression, they wanted to make an affordable treat for people who needed a quick snack during their busy days. The first KitKat was a simple chocolate-covered wafer bar called Rowntree's Chocolate Crisp. It wasn't fancy, but it offered the perfect mix of crunch and sweetness. In 1937, the simple chocolate crisp got a makeover. It changed its name to KitKat, a name that stuck for decades and is now linked to taking a break. The origin of the name is unclear. Some believe it came from the KitKat Club, a famous group of political and artistic figures in London in the late 1600s and early 1700s, known for their lively conversations. Others think it was inspired by a 19th century pie called KitKat that was popular in London. Whether from the club or the pie, the name became a symbol of relaxation and the perfect snack break. In the 1940s, KitKat became even more important. During World War II, it became a valuable snack for soldiers. With its wafer filling, it was easy to pack, portable, and lasted a long time, making it perfect for soldiers on the go. KitKat bars became so popular that they were seen as the go-to snack for a quick break during the chaos of war. The simple design provided comfort, and soldiers came to rely on KitKat as their official break treat. After all, everyone needs a moment of chocolatey relief, especially during tough times. After the war, KitKat grew into a global favorite. What started as a popular treat in the UK quickly spread to other parts of the world. By the 1970s, KitKat had reached the United States, where it became one of the country's top candy bars. However, it was in Japan where KitKat truly became a sensation, loved not just for its taste, but for its variety. Japan has introduced over 300 unique flavors, from green tea matcha and sweet potato to sake and wasabi. Don't worry, the classic chocolate and wafer flavor is still available, no matter where you are. The "Have a break, have a KitKat" slogan quickly became a catchy message for snack time all over the world. People didn't just eat KitKats, they took a break with them. It seemed like the company had mastered the idea of taking 5. Whenever life got too busy, it became clear that there was always time for a KitKat. The slogan made KitKat the go-to snack for a moment of peace and relaxation. It wasn't just a candy, it became a reminder to pause and enjoy a little sweetness during a hectic day. Today, KitKat has gone from a simple snack for British workers to a global favorite, enjoyed by millions all over the world. Its design, with layers of wafer covered in rich chocolate, has made it one of the most recognizable snacks ever. People have embraced the idea of taking a break, and the brand has become a symbol of taking a moment to relax and treat yourself. So, the next time you break off a piece of KitKat, remember, you're not just eating chocolate and wafers, you're enjoying a bit of history. enough history lessons. Let's unwrap the magic and take a look inside the factory. The process of making a KitKat starts with choosing the best ingredients. Nestle, which bought Roan trees in 1988, focuses on sourcing ingredients in an ethical and sustainable way. The key ingredient in KitKat is cocoa, and Nestle is committed to responsible cocoa sourcing through its Nestle Cocoa Plan. This plan aims to improve the lives of cocoa farmers, help them farm better, and address environmental issues. It also works to create better working conditions for farmers, especially in areas where child labor has been a concern. Cocoa beans are picked from cacao trees and then fermented to develop their flavor. After fermentation, the beans are dried, cleaned, and sent to factories where they are roasted to bring out their flavor. Roasting is a crucial step that turns the raw beans into cocoa mass, which is used to make chocolate. Nestle works closely with cocoa farmers and cooperatives to ensure the cocoa is high quality and to reduce the impact of cocoa farming on the environment. They promote shade-grown cocoa farming to protect wildlife, keep soil healthy, and reduce deforestation. Sugar is another key ingredient in KitKat that helps give it its sweet taste and smooth texture. It comes from both sugarcane and sugar beets, which are mainly grown in tropical and temperate areas. Nestle is aware of the environmental impact of sugar production and is working to reduce water use and encourage more sustainable farming practices. The company aims to meet the growing demand for sugar while also addressing environmental and social concerns. Milk powder is another important ingredient that gives KitKat its creamy chocolate coating. Nestle gets its milk powder from dairy farms, which is then mixed with cocoa mass and sugar to make the chocolate. The quality of the milk powder is key to getting the smooth texture KitKat is known for. Nestle also focuses on responsible dairy sourcing, making sure animal welfare and environmental sustainability are a priority. The company combines ethical sourcing with a commitment to keeping the product high quality in making KitKat bars. The crunchy wafer in every KitKat bar is key to its unique texture and how it feels when you eat it. To make the wafer, dough is prepared by mixing wheat flour with sugar, fats, and starch. The quality of the flour is important because it affects the wafer's final texture. High-quality wheat flour is chosen because it bakes to a light and crispy texture. Large machines mix the dough to make sure all the ingredients are evenly combined before moving on to the next step. Once the dough is ready, it is rolled through machines that flatten it into thin sheets. The thickness of these sheets is important for getting the right texture in the wafer. If the dough is too thin, it can become too brittle when baked. If it's too thick, it won't be crispy enough. The dough needs to stay flexible to bake evenly. The rollers make sure all the wafers are the same size and texture. This careful control of thickness ensures that each wafer bakes evenly and becomes perfectly crispy. After the dough is rolled into thin sheets, it is moved to ovens to bake. The oven temperature and baking time are carefully watched to make sure the wafers get the right crunch. If the wafers are underbaked, they will be too soft. If overbaked, they can become too hard and lose their crispiness. The baking process is tricky, needing just the right amount of time for the wafers to crisp up without drying out. The temperature and timing are adjusted to make sure the wafers stay crispy throughout. After baking, the wafers are cooled to room temperature. This step is important because it helps the wafers harden and stay stable. If they're not cooled properly, they might become soft and lose their crunch when stacked with the other layers of wafer and chocolate. Once cooled, the wafers are cut into evenly sized pieces. These pieces are then ready to be layered with chocolate to form the classic KitKat bar. Handling the wafers carefully at every stage helps them keep their crisp texture and be an important part of the final product. The chocolate coating gives KitKat its unique flavor and smooth finish. It starts with selecting good cocoa beans, which are cleaned and roasted to bring out their best taste. Roasting is important because it affects the flavor and texture of the chocolate. The beans are roasted at just the right temperature to unlock their full flavor. After roasting, the beans are cracked open and the nibs are removed from the shell. These nibs are then ground into cocoa mass, which is used to make the chocolate. The cocoa mass is mixed with other ingredients like cocoa butter, milk powder, and sugar. Together, they make this smooth, rich chocolate that will coat the wafers. The chocolate is then refined in a conching machine, which stirs the mixture for hours at a controlled temperature. This process, helps make the chocolate smoother by breaking down the cocoa particles and allows it to develop its full flavor. Conching can take up to 24 hours, depending on how thick or smooth the chocolate needs to be. After the chocolate is conched, it is tempered to get the right texture. Tempering means heating and cooling the chocolate to specific temperatures so it hardens evenly and has a smooth, shiny look. This also helps the chocolate have a nice snap when you break a KitKat bar. Without proper tempering, the chocolate might not set properly and could look dull or crumbly. Once tempered, the chocolate is ready to coat the wafers. Enrobing is when the wafers are covered with smooth, shiny chocolate. The wafers are carefully passed through a flow of chocolate, ensuring they are evenly coated. After that, the chocolate is cooled in tunnels to harden and create the glossy surface on each KitKat. By carefully controlling the temperature and time, the chocolate stays firm and shiny, perfectly matching the crispy wafers inside. The process of putting together KitKat bars starts after the wafers are coated with chocolate. The next step is to stack the wafers into the familiar shape of a KitKat bar. Each layer of wafer is placed carefully to create a smooth and even bar. This is done to make sure the bars have the right texture when you bite into them. Thin layers of chocolate are placed between the wafer layers to hold everything together. This layering technique ensures each bite has a balanced mix of wafer and chocolate. The wafers are cut into exact pieces to make sure each bar is the right size for packaging and shipping. Sharp, automated machines do the cutting to ensure every KitKat bar is cut perfectly. This helps with packaging and branding. The size and shape of the bar are important because they make KitKat easily recognizable to people around the world. The cutting process also makes sure the bars fit properly into their wrappers. After the bars are cut, they move down the production line to the wrapping stations. Wrapping is important to keep the KitKat bars fresh and high quality. Each bar is wrapped in a foil layer to protect it from moisture, air, and dirt, which helps keep the chocolate and wafer fresh. The outer wrap has bright, attention-grabbing packaging with the KitKat logo. The packaging is important because it makes the bars look appealing and easy to recognize. After wrapping, the KitKat bars are checked for any mistakes or damage. Quality control ensures that each bar looks good and is fresh. Any faulty bars are removed from the line. The finished bars are then packed into big boxes and prepared for shipping to stores around the world. The packaging helps keep each KitKat bar in perfect condition until it reaches the shelves. Once the KitKat bars are completely made and checked, the packaging process starts. This step is important to keep each bar fresh and in good condition. To protect the product, each KitKat bar is wrapped in a foil layer that blocks out air, moisture, and dirt, which could affect the taste or texture. The foil helps keep the chocolate smooth and the wafer crunchy. After the foil wrap, each bar is placed in an outer package with the bright and well-known KitKat logo. This packaging not only keeps the product fresh, but also catches the attention of shoppers. Its colorful and attractive design helps the product stand out on busy store shelves, making it easy for people to find. The packaging also serves an important purpose in labeling, making sure key details like nutritional facts, ingredients, and expiration dates are easy to read. This helps meet rules and gives shoppers the information they need to make smart choices. The outer packaging is printed with care to keep the KitKat brand looking strong and easy to recognize. This focus on packaging design and labeling is important for maintaining KitKat's brand image around the world. Once wrapped, the bars are packed into big cartons to be transported to distribution centers. In the final steps, the cartons are checked for any damage before being loaded onto trucks, planes, or ships for delivery. This makes sure the KitKat bars arrive in perfect condition. The packaging is key to protecting the bars during transport, stopping any damage that might happen while handling or shipping. Since the first thing a customer notices is the packaging, it's an important part of KitKat's success. The attention given to packaging ensures the product looks fresh and inviting when it arrives, keeping the brand's promise of quality. Quality control is an important part of making KitKat bars. During the production process, the bars are tested at different stages to make sure they meet the brand's high standards. One of the first checks happens after the dough for the wafers is mixed. Samples of the dough are tested for texture, smoothness, and flexibility. If the dough is too stiff or too soft, it can change the final texture of the wafer. Getting the dough just right is important for achieving the perfect crispness when baked, so it's carefully tested. After the wafers are baked, they are tested again to make sure they are crispy enough. Special tools are used to check the texture and make sure the wafers have the right crunch. The chocolate coating is also checked for even thickness and smoothness. The texture of the chocolate is tested to make sure it goes well with the wafers and has the right sweetness and flavor. If any bar doesn't pass these tests, it is taken off the production line. After the KitKat bars are put together, they are visually inspected to make sure they have no defects. This includes looking for any cracks or air bubbles in the chocolate coating and making sure the wafer layers are in the right place. Bars that don't meet the standards are thrown away. The bars are also tested for taste and smell. Experts do blind taste tests to check the chocolate's flavor, making sure it has the right balance of sweetness, bitterness, and creaminess. Finally, before the KitKat bars are packaged, each one is weighed to make sure it meets the correct weight. The packaging materials are also checked for any defects. Proper sealing and labeling are important to keep the bars fresh and maintain the brand's quality. By following strict quality checks at every step of production, KitKat makes sure that every bar that reaches the consumer is of the best possible quality. Once KitKat bars pass all quality checks, they are ready to be shipped to stores worldwide. The distribution process is carefully planned to ensure the bars arrive fresh and on time. After packaging, KitKat bars are packed into large shipping cartons and sent to distribution centers. From there, they are moved to regional warehouses where they are stored in the best conditions to keep the product quality. Nestle uses a worldwide distribution system to get KitKat bars to stores quickly. Depending on where they are going, KitKat bars may be shipped by truck, plane, or ship. Trucks are typically used for local deliveries to supermarkets, while international shipments rely on a mix of air and sea transport to handle large amounts of product. This system must be well organized to make sure KitKat bars are available in the right places when needed. Warehouses and distribution centers are important for managing the supply chain. These facilities are placed in key areas to make sure KitKat bars are available to stores around the world. Nestle uses tracking systems to keep an eye on stock levels, making sure products are restocked on time and that stores don't run out. The products are also stored in climate-controlled spaces to keep the bars fresh and protect them from temperature changes. When KitKat bars arrive at stores, they are unpacked, placed on shelves, and ready for sale. KitKat is available in many supermarkets, convenience stores, and vending machines, making it easy for people to find their favorite snack. The distribution process doesn't end when the product hits the shelves. It continues with managing stock, handling busy seasons, and making sure the bars stay fresh and in stock. KitKat's worldwide availability and reliable system make it a go-to snack for people everywhere. KitKat is popular because of its simple but delicious mix of crunchy wafers and smooth chocolate, offering a perfect balance of textures and flavors that people love. Its bite-sized pieces make it a great snack for quick breaks, and it's enjoyed by people of all ages. The product's steady quality over the years helps make KitKat a trusted choice for many. KitKat's smart marketing, especially the famous slogan, "Have a break, have a KitKat," has made it a part of popular culture. The idea of taking a break has connected with people for years, turning KitKat from just a snack into a symbol of relaxation and fun. This connection with everyday life has helped the product stay popular across generations. KitKat has kept its popularity by constantly introducing new flavors, especially in places like Japan, where over 300 different varieties have been released, including matcha and sake. This ability to try new flavors based on local preferences has kept KitKat interesting and fun, while still keeping the classic taste that people love. KitKat's focus on sustainability and ethically sourcing ingredients like cocoa has made it more attractive to today's environmentally aware shoppers. By following responsible production practices, KitKat has secured its success and relevance in a changing market. Its mix of tradition, new ideas, and ethical values makes it a favorite snack that will continue to be loved worldwide for many years. Now that you've got the inside scoop on KitKat, we've got to ask, what's your go-to KitKat flavor? Do you stick with the classic or love trying the unique ones? Let us know in the comments below. And if you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more delicious breakdowns. See you next time.